Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents 21st Century Parenting, a guide to raising emotionally resilient children in an unstable world, by Rick Capaldi, MFT, PhD. Narrated by Edward Bauer. Preface. Wouldn't it be great if there were a parent app on your phone to feed you useful data about how your children are doing, alert you when they're veering off the rails or headed over a cliff, and help you take quick, effective action to get them safely back on track? In our fast-paced, competitive world, millions of children struggle to maintain their emotional stability and grow up feeling safe, secure, and confident. And often no one notices until it's too late. So what makes it too late? Often, distracted parents are missing the signals of children in distress. Children are very good at hiding their pain. However, they often telegraph it in subtle ways as well, which is why parents need to become more effective at reading such signals before their kids go astray. If your kids' emotional backpacks become too heavy and you don't notice, your children can embark on a progressive downward spiral, prompting them to make decisions that sabotage their well-being and performance, both in and out of school. Today, our kids face challenges and dangers that we never dreamed of when we were growing up. Online predators, mass school shootings, vicious cyberbullying that can lead to anxiety, depression, and/or suicidal behavior. In addition, they spend more time staring into screens than we ever imagined possible, absorbing an incredible amount of information largely beyond our control. The consequences of these influences and societal pressures can be truly horrifying. It's a stark reminder of the need for parents to pay attention. If you're like most parents, you probably struggle with determining the best way to guide your children. Where's that app that provides insight into what's going on in their heads and what direction you should take to intervene before their actions negatively impact their lives and the lives of others? Well, here's the news, for good or bad. The only parent app your family can actually depend on, or should ever need, is you. Why? Because parenting is personal. It calls for intimate engagement. Technology may be the answer for many of today's challenges, but it can't take the place of the most important job parents will ever have, being the most important and influential people in the lives of their children. You can't tweet, Google, FaceTime, Instagram, or Snapchat your way to developing a successful family. In short, there's no substitute for moms and dads doing their jobs. That was one of my reasons for writing 21st Century Parenting. 21st Century Parenting provides you with clear direction to enable you to read, regulate, and redirect your child's behavior. Today's core parental principles that can ensure your child's safety and success. 21st Century Parenting is supported with compelling real-world cases from my lengthy career as a family therapist specializing in counseling families, children, and teens. It provides parents with a parenting GPS to guide their kids successfully through the many turns, roadblocks, and detours from childhood to adulthood. It is intended as a practical guide that avoids many of the common myths about what causes childhood emotional problems, such as low self-esteem. It keeps parents from becoming roadblocks in their child's journey toward success, helps parents establish parental leadership, and provides tested tools to support their children's educational and emotional potential. It demonstrates how parents can protect their children from being bullied or becoming victims of technology, and provides tools to effectively launch children into becoming adult success stories. Most importantly, these claims aren't based on theories. The methods incorporated in 21st Century Parenting have been tested with thousands of children and teens in hundreds of schools through my nonprofit school-based counseling program, Outreach Concern Incorporated, which has a proven 26-year track record of success in improving the emotional stability, behavior, and academic performance of children. In September 1993, Outreach Concern Incorporated opened its doors with the mission to provide a cost-effective, comprehensive program of counseling and support services in schools, and to positively impact a child's emotional well-being and performance. We began providing those services in 12 schools with 14 counselors and limited financial support. In those early years, things were difficult for a small nonprofit agency with a new idea, but our reputation grew as we attained positive outcomes for our clients, and more schools adopted our program. Today, Outreach Concern has been incorporated in over 894 public and private elementary, middle, and high schools. We have served over 500,000 children, parents, and families, provided over 2 million hours of intervention, and trained over 9,000 mental health professionals. After a quarter-century of service, we have become one of the largest nonprofit school-based counseling agencies in the country, with a story and results that need to be told. Working with over 3,200 children each week, we see thousands of children and families who experienced mental health issues, economic setbacks, divorce, emotional, social, and academic instability, or are just in need of help in raising their children. Over time, our work with these clients has led to the development of a new parent-child intervention model focused on improving performance. This established the basis for 21st century parenting, identifying what parents need to know in order to raise healthy, well-adjusted, successful children today and in the future. Early in Outreach's journey, we became dissatisfied with traditional counseling programs and methods that required lengthy time commitments and great expense, lacked specific goals, and often produced poor outcomes. As a result, we sought to develop an intervention model that focused on rapid behavioral change through a more direct, strategic, and controlled approach, one with measurable results, that addressed the present needs of children and adolescents in school and at home, with parents as the main force in their child's life. In this process, we came to recognize that, contrary to popular belief, it isn't a lack of self-esteem, confidence, or motivation that negatively affect a child's performance. Rather, it's the lack of performance and accomplishments a child demonstrates that give rise to feelings of inadequacy, leading to a further unwillingness to challenge himself and ultimately establishes a child's negative personal identity. And that lack of accomplishment results from parents not being engaged with their children. By not paying sufficient attention to what's going on in their child's world, not equipping him or her with the necessary tools to respond effectively when emotional temperatures rise, and not properly directing their child's efforts to promote accomplishments, parents are responsible for whether their children fail or succeed. We concluded that successful, emotionally stable children with high self-esteem typically have parents who do the following. Pay close attention to what's going on in their child's world, emotionally, academically, socially, and behaviorally. Equip their children with the necessary tools to respond effectively to emotional challenges, and direct their children's efforts toward accomplishments, driving them to their highest level of competency. The outreach model provided a new blueprint of how school counselors can be effective, not by focusing solely on the child, but by partnering with the most important people in the child's life, the parents. Our success was further evidenced by the results of a 9-year student performance accountability study. Refer to study at www.outreachconcern.org, involving 30,662 student referrals from elementary through high school. Each year in the schools we work in, teachers and parents were asked to rate student academic performance and behavior since counseling was initiated, focusing on GPA, grade point average, and behavioral improvement. Overall, survey results have indicated an 87% performance improvement in academic, behavioral, and psychological domains of those children seen by our counselors. Those numbers are impressive, supporting the effectiveness of the intervention model we developed. Our next challenge was to assess whether those children seen by our counselors continued to demonstrate the changes our model produced over an extended period of time. Incorporating a 5-year longitudinal study following 6,784 students from 65 elementary, middle, and high schools, we identified only 19%, 1,265 of the original student referrals, were re-referred back to our counselors for similar or related issues. An equally significant aspect of our findings was that in 97% of the children who demonstrated improvement, parental participation was a key factor. Once our counselors provided parents with specific guidance and the appropriate tools, their children's performance and behavior improved significantly. 21st Century Parenting describes in detail how parents can use these same tools developed through the Outreach Concern program to improve performance and stronger parent-child relationships. Our methods, which have produced thousands of success stories with children and families, led to the development of one of the most comprehensive school-based counseling programs in the country and established a new foundation for parenting in the 21st century based on one simple truth. Parents still need to matter the most in the lives of their children. Of course, the success parents achieve incorporating 21st century parenting doesn't come easily. It relies on a parent's commitment to embrace a leadership style that, at times, may make them a bit less popular with their children, the result of making tough, unpopular decisions that are always, however, in the best interest of their family. As the most significant and influential person in your child's life, you, the parent, get to determine what that interest is. And it is of utmost importance that you recognize that no matter what age, experience, or success your children achieve, your parental responsibility never ends. It only changes, acting as a perpetual counterbalance to the various influences your children are exposed to, influences that may sometimes present challenges and opportunities contrary to their best interest. This is why parents need to pay attention. 21st Century Parenting provides parents a new, dynamic, highly successful approach to such challenges, one that incorporates parents, children, and other significant position holders in a child's life with a focus on improving behavior, performance, and parent-child relationships. In this way, we can encourage children to thrive in the world as adults, helping them to make it a better place for themselves and future generations. This begins by paying attention to what children really need, and that does not mean having the latest cell phones, iPads, or video games. It does, however, mean having parents who are empowered by the tools provided in 21st century parenting. Tools that can help parents develop capable, sensitive, and resilient children into successful adults. Introduction. The power of paying attention. When you really pay attention, everything is your teacher. Ezra Beda. Before considering a new approach to raising your children, you have the right to ask why. Our experience has shown that many parents are not paying sufficient attention to what their children are being exposed to and how well they are managing the challenges presented by such exposure. This lack of attention has resulted in some of the following unfortunate outcomes. 11-year-old Josh was found in the school garage attempting to start a fire after suffering continuous bullying by his classmates. Or Sophia, 12, found at school in the girls' bathroom with her father's .22 pistol attempting to take her life after finding out she didn't make the soccer travel team. Or 16-year-old Jean, hospitalized several times with an eating disorder, and now she is cutting herself. The actions of these young people didn't reach the level of destruction like the rampage by Adam Lanza, the perpetrator of the Sandy Hook school shooting, or that of Nicholas Cruz, who killed 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. However, their emotional distress resulted in significant self-destructive patterns of behavior. Rather than lashing out at others, their feelings of helplessness, despair, anxiety, victimization, and sadness were turned on themselves. Yet, what these children have in common with the perpetrators of those horrific events is a history of progressive warning signs that were recognized by some in passing. Unfortunately, not enough attention was devoted to actually addressing their patterns of behavior. In each of these cases, parents were aware of the difficulties their children were experiencing. Some attempted to get help but were inconsistent in their efforts. Others refused to recognize the problem or else excluded it. Even when the behaviors became more pronounced at home, falling grades, disrespect, angry outbursts, and self-isolation, the parents refused to respond to the escalating emotional temperatures as they progressed until it was, in some cases, too late. These children aren't isolated examples. In fact, they are more common than one might suspect. Now, before you stop listening and say, "You're not talking about my child. We don't have these problems. These are violent children, and I'm just looking for some parenting tips to help me clean up my family," stick with me. We're going to get there. First, recognize there are many factors that cause young people to have difficulties, impacting them and those they interact with. Family dysfunction, divorce. Currently, 1 out of 2 marriages end in divorce, with 60% of second marriages failing. 1 in 59 children are diagnosed with autism. 28% of students in grades K through 12 are bullied, with 43% of teens reporting that they're being or have been bullied online. 20% of children aged 13 to 18 enter a classroom with an undiagnosed mental disorder, and more than 3 million children a year report being abused. In addition, genetic vulnerabilities, homelessness, technology, economic impact, lack of parental involvement, behavioral, academic, and social challenges, and many situations where parents just don't know or care enough or just need help. All of these factors impact their children's security, stability, and success. Books, iPads, and emotional backpacks. Each day, millions of children go to school with more than their books, pens, and iPads. They come with emotional backpacks, often crammed with issues, concerns, and questions that influence and impact their daily success. Some enter school with healthy coping skills their parents helped develop. As a result, they make good decisions and progress academically, socially, and emotionally. Too many others, however, come unprepared due to insufficient parental support, direction, and coping skills, and they manifest increasing negative responses and an inability to control their behavior. Such is the situation in the cases of Josh, Sophia, and Jean, who turned toward cutting, eating disorders, performance problems, isolation, and self-destructive behavior. Their heightened emotionality and inability to cope with their personal stressors led them into a progressive downward spiral demonstrating behaviors that sabotaged their success. What they had in common with the school shooters whose response trended toward violence was that their actions were visible to the significant people in their lives, if those significant people had been paying attention. In school, these children are visible to teachers who themselves have little or no mental health training. These children act out, don't stay on task or pay attention or follow through on projects, have performance problems, are bullied, or are socially withdrawn. At home, they may be non-responsive, aggressive with siblings or friends, refuse to accept responsibility for their behavior, and fight with parents or spend hours online gaming, isolating themselves from their family and peers. Unfortunately, today many parents aren't paying enough attention to what's really going on in their child's world. Overreacting, underreacting, or in denial, they make excuses for their child's behavior or are often just disinterested. Or they beg and negotiate with their children in a feeble attempt to get them to psychologically buy into the right thing to do. In some cases, throwing money, gadgetries, and opportunity at them, resulting in a self-indulgent child with a sense of entitlement and false sense of security, one that often blows up in the child's face once they enter adolescence and adulthood and find their behavior is far less excusable or accepted. Often, these parents just need a new direction to parenting because, in spite of their commitment, their results fall far from their efforts. Many of today's 21st century children don't have the skills to navigate through life's challenges, and when confronted with conflict or opportunity, respond with actions and choices they often regret, impacting their emotional well-being, performance, and future. But they don't have to if parents pay attention. Does it sound odd, telling parents to pay attention when the vast majority of us grew up having our parents tell us to pay attention? Yes, things have changed, mandating that parents recognize their child's emotional health, security, and success isn't automatic and can't be taken for granted. It's learned, and their responsibility as the most significant influencers in their child's life is to help develop it. It's their responsibility to educate, support, direct, and influence their children toward choices in which their emotional well-being and responsiveness to challenges, disappointments, and successes can be effectively regulated toward positive outcomes. A new twist on an old theme. In 1825, Sir William Curtis, a British Parliament member dubbed the Lord Mayor of London, gave a toast at a Board of Education luncheon saluting reading, writing, and arithmetic. It wasn't known if he pronounced the words inaccurately or if he was trying to be ironic. The phrase stuck, and even today, the 3 R's are the basis for education. The original 3 R's focused on basic academic skills children needed to demonstrate proficiency in to succeed in and out of school. Those same 3 R's are just as important today in achieving success, but not always that easy to master without help. The new 3 R's, a parenting paradigm shift. Today, success with the 3 R's requires a different type of parental attention, one that focuses on developing those skills while also being aware of the constant influences and challenges affecting a child's performance, health, and safety in meeting those goals. 21st century parenting provides parents with a contemporary version of the 3 R's. That is, 3 distinct and crucial ways in which parents need to pay attention. In this case, the R's stand for reading, as in attending to what's going on in the child's internal and external world, regulating, helping children cope and develop self-regulation, and redirecting, guiding children to make good decisions leading to their success. 21st century parenting teaches parents to recognize those opportunities and the many challenges their children face. It provides a modern set of the 3 R's with proven results leading to the development of successful, emotionally stable children with promising futures who, when confronted with conflict or disappointment, make decisions supporting positive outcomes, instilling a sense of confidence, control, and security that remains with them throughout their life. Reading. Parents must pay attention to their child's world. Learning to read their child's environment, a parent comes to recognize the challenges, opportunities, and conflicts their children are presented with, and who and what influences them, and how all of this affects their performance and success. Regulating. It is up to parents to teach their children self-regulation. By recognizing the importance of regulating their child's emotional temperature, teaching emotional control, parents can learn how children slip into negative mood states and how, if left uncontrolled, such responses could impact their child's success, coloring the decisions he makes, the behavior he demonstrates, and the responses he receives from his world. Redirecting. Parents must learn to redirect their child's behavior in order to achieve positive outcomes, helping their child accomplish relevant goals that lead to a heightened sense of self-worth, self-assurance, and developing a balanced sense of drive for the rest of their lives. So, today there's a new set of 3 R's, demanding parents pay attention to reading, regulating, and redirecting their child's environment, emotions, and behavior, and in this way establishing present and lifelong success, emotional well-being, and motivation. Recognizing that what children might need is the committed leadership from the single most influential people in their lives, their parents. Chapter 1. Reading your child's environment. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Frederick Douglass. Each morning we get out of bed and sooner or later reach for technology, be it our cell phone, iPad, or the laptop. Then we turn them on and look for those bars indicating power on. You see all green, and now everything is right with the world because the world is at our fingertips. What's next? Google News, weather, directions, checking email, or any one of the 1,000 apps or more that provide us whatever information or convenience we're looking for to meet our particular needs. And of course it doesn't stop there. All day long we rely on technology to help us do something, get someplace, communicate with someone, and to make us more efficient, more effective, and more successful. Or not. We check our stocks, how many steps we've taken, how many calories we've burned. There is an app for everything. Every aspect of our life, every part of our environment is being provided for, allegedly making our day, life, family, relationships, and business and financial world better. However, there is one major area that we cannot find on our smartphones, the one that informs us about the well-being of our children. Wouldn't it be great for a parent if there was an app that could tell you how your child is doing and what to do about it? Today's technology can help us figure out where they are and, if we pay attention, what they've been up to. But what about what's going on in their world? What's influencing, threatening, and directing them? The things challenging them as they go through their day, their safety, how they're performing academically, behaviorally, socially, and emotionally. That app may be around the corner, but until it appears, parents need to be their own parent app, recognizing and responding to what's going on in their child's world. This is what I mean by reading your child's environment, paying attention to what affects and influences them, to ensure their safety and security and supporting their success as they develop through childhood, adolescence, and into adulthood. But what does that world look like, and what should a parent pay attention to? You begin by learning to read and recognize your child's world, the who, what, when, where, and how of it. Recognize that your child's world, like your own, is in constant motion and is constantly being bombarded by various influences in and outside of his or her control. Pay attention to those external influences that can lead children to make choices that are not in their best interests. Help your child navigate through the minefield of influences he or she is exposed to, identifying which are dangerous and which are opportunities for growth. Growing up during the 50s and 60s in Southern California, there weren't many TV stations available to viewers. Programming began at 6 a.m. and shut down at 12 a.m. The programming consisted largely of various sitcoms, sporting events, and variety shows, all with commercials attempting to influence viewers both young and old. Fast forward to today, and things haven't changed much. However, now there are thousands of stations with 24 hours a day programming, and with far less control and regulation, all attempting to sell something to you and your children. How do you compete with those marketing influences on your children, which are often contrary to your values and views? How do your children respond to such influences, and does that response impact their behavior or others in a positive way? The answer to these questions can have a profound effect on your child's...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?